Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. So let's talk a little bit about systemic racism. You know, when we bring up that topic, it seems like it's a touchy topic, touchy subject. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, at least those of as what we call the dominant society. A lot of times they want to say it doesn't exist. No such thing as systemic racism. Because the first thing they want to say is nobody is holding you back from doing anything. Right? And then you'll have some brothers and sisters who will parrot that sentiment that there's no such thing as systemic racism. The problem with that whole subject, or is really proving it on like a legal level. You know, there are things that you can see in life, that you know in life, that you probably couldn't prove if you was in a court of law. You probably could if you did enough research. Take it back far enough, you probably could eventually. But by the time it gets to your present condition, it's almost like, well, that's what it was. You can't really prove it now, but we know that's how it started. Like when you look at things like when they talk about like HOA. You know, the HOAs were created to keep Black Americans out of certain neighborhoods. Redlining, things of that nature. When you see stuff like how farmers of the past, especially Black farmers, how they were treated, how they was pretty much beat off their land, wasn't given the loans, given faulty equipment, a lot of sharecropping. And you can say, yes, there were some white people who went through it, but in any kind of, you can say any kind of war, you're gonna have casualties. It just happens, but it's necessary. It's necessary because you need casualties of your own soldiers or your own citizens, so that when someone comes to holler out that what you did was discriminatory or racist, they can say, well, hey, some of our people died too, or some of our people were affected too. So you can't really prove it. You can't really say that. But when you look and it says that the majority, like a high percentage of one group of people are affected compared to a small group over here, just by happenstance, they don't want to hear it. They still say, hey, it wasn't all the Black people. It wasn't only just Black people. It was some of these people too. So can't really, But like I say, farmers, how they was beat out of out of their money, out of their farm equipment, losing land, getting in debts they can't get out of. And then you find out that Black Americans only own 1% of all the land in America. But we are supposedly anywhere from 12 to 14% of the population. Doesn't make sense. But then they sue, the Black farmers sue, I guess, the government, win, but then you'll have white farmers countersuing, want the courts to dismiss the ruling because it's discriminatory and it's race-based. And then by the Constitution, you can't do anything race-based. So you continue to get screwed or continue to, reap not the benefits or the consequences of what has been going on forever. You bring up stuff like that. You got to bring up stuff like that. You can't say that somebody can't hold you back because, yes, I went to school, got a degree, so then had a couple of homes in my life, kids in school, doing well. This, that, and other, and you can say, well, nothing held you back. So why is it that everybody else was held back? Well, I had a pretty good foundation, mother and father instilled in me, how to maneuver as an adult, as a productive member of society. So I was blessed. And a lot of people that I'm associated with, same thing. Blessed. A lot of people in my family, same thing. So, but everybody doesn't have those kind of opportunities, or those blessings are not taught, how to do better than just where you are, which is a sad case. But my point is, because I want to get into this story, because it is, close to me for reasons that I'm going to tell. When you're dealing, like I said, with system and racism, it is there. And the only way I feel that it's ever going to be eradicated is that those who commit the offense, have to admit it, and then they have to come back and do reparative justice, reparations of some kind to right or wrong. So regardless of what the Constitution says, or whatever law, what judge, Supreme Court might say, or what people might feel, you got to do right by people that you do wrong. Which brings me to this article that came across my feed. And this is from, I had to go Googled it, saw the article on a few sites, but a lot of them were shortened versions, but I wanted the extended version. I want the full story. So I saw this on ocregister.com. It's the Orange County Register. And it reads, biased tests kept thousands of Black people from kidney transplant. So a once widely used test overestimated how well Black people's kidneys were functioning. Now you might say, there you go. How is this going to be a race-baited topic? It's not. It's not a bait at all. It's a full meal. Because this article tells you, and it's in a bunch of articles and a bunch of websites and a bunch of news sites, has this same exact title on their stories. Whether they did the whole article or shortened the story down, it said it was a biased test. And these doctors and these organizations are trying to right or wrong, late or not, they're trying to right or wrong. Now, reason why this is, something that piqued my attention and is close to me is because, like some of if you've watched some of my videos and caught the context clues, I am a dialysis nurse by trade. Been doing it for a few years. And one thing I do realize, I've noticed there are a lot of clinics in what we call the urban areas. A lot of them. And the urban areas are where, Black Americans live mostly. And each place because I've worked in the country, I've worked in southern part of the town, southeast, southwest, wherever I go, clinics I've been to, the majority of the patients are Black Americans, the majority of them, which is telling. And it's very disheartening because you wonder, why do our people got kidney failure? Well, you got to think about it. A lot of it has to do with the area that you live in and the way you grew up. Diet. Let's just put it like that. The diet is a big issue. Diet, stress levels, exercise, whatever. All that plays a part in your body. Your body is one big organism, right? Filled up with organs that work together. There's nothing, although they're separate and they got separate names, they all work together for one common goal. That's keep you alive and healthy. But when you mistreat your body, now a lot of times some of this stuff is hereditary, I know. But for the most part, when you mistreat your body by, drinking, doing drugs, partying all the time, eating a bunch of sugar, a bunch of processed meat, eating everything that has nothing to do with fruits and vegetables, which is why I have slowly but surely gradually changed my diet to I eat at least 3 servings of fruits and vegetables almonds, cashews, some kind of, vegetables throughout the day. And I still may eat some chocolate chip cookies from now. I may do that because, hey, that's my vice, which I'm trying to get to a more vegan approach on that. I got to, shout out to my vegan chocolate chip cookie maker. Hope that she makes some soon. But anyway, so like kidney disease. So when you got like high blood pressure, diabetes, all that stuff, those things destroys your organs. And then eventually you can have people have high blood pressure and don't even know it or deal with it, don't care about it, can manage every day. But that stuff is destroying your organs, destroying your body, and your kidney is like the key organ for health, I believe, for longevity. And you destroy that, man, everything else is going to hell in a handbasket. So like I said, when I saw this article, dialysis nurse, most of my patients are Black Americans. I had to read it, had to understand, because it's personal. But let me not say too much right now. Let's get into the article, and then I'll, explain some things as we go along. And this comes out of Philadelphia, and it says Jazmin Evans has been waiting for a new kidney for 4 years when her hospital revealed shocking news. She should have been put on a transplant list in 2015 instead of 2019. And a racially biased organ test was to blame. Now, heck, this test is called a GFR test. And it's a test that, rates and sees how well your kidneys function. Matter of fact, I have encouraged people to get this test because the thing about it is, a lot of times people don't get it until they see some signs and symptoms of something not something's not right. So what I would tell people is like, hey, when you're going to get your physical every year, get that GFR test. A lot of times people don't get it till it's too late. By the time you take it, you like stage 3 of kidney failure. And stage 5, you're going to be going to dialysis, needing dialysis or a transplant. So every time you get a physical, go and get that test. Not knowing that it actually was racially biased, as this article will say. It said, as upsetting as the notification was, it was also part of an unprecedented move to mitigate the racial inequality. Evans is among more than 14,000 Black kidney transplant candidates so far, given credit for lost waiting time, moving them up the priority list for their transplant. Can you imagine how many people have suffered over the years, even including death, because of a test, a racially biased test that pushed them back from getting a kidney? Now, what's weird is I have noticed in the past few months at the few clinics I worked at, that they had a high rate of transplants, like that. First you might get 1 or 2 a year. Now I'm seeing one where it's got like 4 in 4 months. It's like, what the heck? And couldn't really understand, like, man, this is amazing. Like, where all these kidneys come from? Especially for my people in the community. But then I saw this article and now it makes sense that a lot of these folks, because some people say, man, I've been on dialysis for 10 years, 12 years, been coming here and I'm trying to get on this transplant list. But it's like, what the world? Now I understand what's going on. It's that people are they redoing. Let me keep going. Quote, she says, I remember just reading that letter over and over again, said Evans, 29, of Philadelphia, who shared the notice in a TikTok video to educate other patients. How, quote unquote, how could this happen? At issue is a once widely used test that overestimated how well Black people's kidneys were functioning, making them look healthier than they really were, all because of an automated formula that calculated results from Black and non-Black patients differently. The race-based equation could delay diagnosis of organ failure and evaluation for a transplant. exacerbating other disparities that already make Black patients more at risk of needing new kidneys but less likely to get one. We've seen studies where, for some reason, them folk think that we are gluttons for pain, that we are stronger than a human, but they treat us like animals, and that we really don't feel the pain that we claim we feel, and we're not really as hurt as we claim we are. We just fake it, and we'll be all right because we've been through slavery or some mess like that. This has been documented. Just like they treat our kids like they're adults. Like we've seen stories where 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds get in trouble with the law. They get, they be at school, they get slammed on the ground, thrown out of desk, 5 and 6 years old, get handcuffed. All this stuff documented because they see us like as super animals. I won't say superhumans, but like super animals for some reason. And then if something happened and we die, say, oh, well, it's just an anomaly, keep going. They don't have the same compassion. This is why we holler that there's discrimination in the medical field. This is why a lot of times our people don't go to the doctor because they say, I already know. Every time I go to the doctor, they tell me, oh, it's just this, oh, it's just that. And in actuality, it's, something bad. I can say this story. Like I knew a lady who was having like pains in a woman's area, and she had an OB doctor, a male doctor. And she always complained to him, and he would just brush it off as something minor, give her some pain medicine, go on something minor. And she'd go back to him, same thing. Went back, and then she finally was able to get a second opinion with a woman OB, and come to find out she had something where she would grow like cysts, like a cyst had grown on her ovaries, like big. You had to have it surgically removed. Stuff like that does happen. And like I said, you wonder why we have these issues or why we feel the way we do when it comes to the medical field, which is why it's important that it's like I say about the law, like we got to get our kids in law, in finance, so that we can help our people as much as possible in this system, and also in the medical field. You got to be a different kind of person to be in nursing and stuff like that. You really need to have compassion for your patients and not just be doing it for money. You got to really want to take care of people. You want them to get better because they are going to be hard-headed, but you still got to stay the course. And so I implore our people to get it, like say, in the medical field, nursing, doctor, and whatever, because we are going to understand us, and we are supposed to have compassion for us so that we can make sure that we are taken care of. Because if we ain't there for us, nobody else will be. Proof with this test right here. It says a few years ago, the National Kidney Foundation and American Society of Nephrology prodded laboratories to switch to race-free equations in calculating kidney function. Then the U.S. Organ Transplant Network ordered hospitals to use only race-neutral test results in adding new patients to the kidney waiting list. You say the immediate question came up, what about the people on the list right now? And you can't just leave them behind, said Dr. Martha Pavlakis of Boston's Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center and former chair of the network's kidney committee. It said Pavlakis calls what happened next an attempt at restorative justice. The Transplant Network gave hospitals 1 year to uncover which Black kidney candidates could have qualified for a new kidney sooner, if not for the race-based test, and adjust their waiting time to make up for it. That look back continues for each newly listed Black patient to see if they too should have been referred sooner. That's what I mean, reparative justice. You understand you did it wrong, and instead of trying to explain why you shouldn't give money or why you shouldn't do anything for what's in the past, because the past is the past, You fix it. You fix it. Shout out to reparations. You fix it. Between January 2023 and mid-March, more than 14,300 Black kidney transplant candidates have had their wait times modified by an average of 2 years, according to the United Network for Organ Sharing, which runs the transplant system. So far, more than 2,800 of them, including Evans, have received a transplant. 2,800 who probably wouldn't have a kidney, who will still be waiting right now. I've seen people on dialysis for a certain amount of time, and then they say, I can't do this no more. I'm tired of this. Been trying to get on the transplant list. Can't get on it. Takes years to get on the list, so it takes a lot of tests. It's a whole lot of stuff you got to go through. This, that, and the third. And they stop going to dialysis, stop coming. And within a week or so, they're gone. They're deceased. Because they feel like there's no hope. And stories like this shows that you can tell there was no hope, because this woman was on a transplant list 4 years after she should have been, just thinking she was the type of person who said, man, I ain't doing this for the rest of my life, and gave up. You hear stories about people giving up, say they want to give up. I heard a story about one lady, she wanted to give up, and the staff was, talking to her, coaching her, educating her, being that support. And she was like, say, almost probably near death, but they kept supporting. Next thing you know, after a while, she got a kidney. And so now she's still vibrant, walking around, and, reach out to the staff periodically, thanking them, talking to them, because they helped her stay the course. But everybody doesn't feel like that. People will give up, because dialysis is hard, man. Dialysis, just by looking, you think about this. You are on a machine, got these big 17, 15 gauge needles in your arm. What they do, they go in, you might have a catheter in your chest, but what they want to do is put your artery and your vein together, so that son gonna grow pretty big, so they can put these needles in your arm, so they can pull blood out, take it through an artificial kidney, put the clean blood back in, and you sitting there anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5 hours, maybe even 5 hours. Just depends on your lab results. 3 days a week, at least. And then you have to manage your fluid, manage your salt intake. What else? Manage your phosphorus intake, all kind of stuff. And they give books and dieting plans and stuff like that to help you out, but it's a big process. So like I said, you on the machine, like on average, most people on there for 4 hours. So you think about the time it takes you to get up, get ready to go. You're sitting there for 4 hours, and then some people, they're drained. They get home the rest of their day, it's over. Some people go to work, but a lot of people say I'm going home and that's it. And then there's risk of complications on the machine. Pulling too much fluid, your blood pressure can drop. I've seen people pass away on the machine. Seen people nearly pass away. Guys just sent out to the hospital. People cramp up, pulling too much fluid, blood pressure dropping, things, having seizures. Things happen, and you are not in control of what goes on, because once the needles go in, you can't get up, because you can mess around pulling needles out and blood, you can bleed to death if you can't stop the bleeding. And sometimes you got to send people to the hospital because the bleed won't stop. You got to call ambulance, come pick them up, so they can go to the hospital and get a stitch put in, so it start the bleeding. Things happen. It's not a fun thing to do. So you have to really be determined and, in understanding how important it is for your life to extend your life for as long as possible. It says, but it's just one example of a larger problem permeating healthcare. Numerous formulas or algorithms used in medical decisions, treatment guidelines, diagnostic tests, risk calculators, Adjust the answers according to race or ethnicity in a way that puts people of color at a disadvantage. Given how embedded these equations are in medical software and electronic records, even doctors may not realize how widely they impact care decisions. I remember one time I had a annual review with a boss job years ago, warehouse job. And he gave me this review, and I could tell that it was like low percentage was low. I can even tell he changed some numbers in there to make sure that my raise stayed at like 2% or something like that. And I'm looking at it, like, man, what is this? This is ridiculous. This is nothing. And he was like, well, the numbers don't lie. And I said, I know, but the people that put them in do. And that's the same. I thought that when I saw this, like, you can have the software and electronic records, but numbers don't lie, but the people that put them in can fix them and change them how they want to where they read the way they want the numbers to read. It said health equity scholars have been raising alarm bells about the way race has been misused in clinical algorithms for decades, says Dr. Michelle Morris, New York City's chief medical officer. Change is beginning slowly. No longer are obstetricians supposed to include race in determining the risk of a pregnant woman attempting vaginal birth after a prior C-section. The American Heart Association just removed race from a commonly used calculator of people's heart disease risk. The American Thoracic Society has urged replacing race-based lung function evaluation. This is systemic racism. Anybody who wants to say that is no such thing can go jump in front of a train. No, just walk in front of a train. Run toward the train while it's coming towards you. That's how I feel about that, because I don't care what you say. It exists. And it's even worse when you got your own people who try to sit there and say racism doesn't exist. Yeah, racism you might think it don't exist because you're successful. You got some money, got a house, stuff like that. You was able to make it, got it through the mud, as they say. Man, whatever. Man, and what? It's like that, what they call, it's like that sperm cell, that sperm that say you got millions that shoot out, going toward the egg, but only maybe one or two might make it. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, that one or two can't sit there and say that, man, this rate that it's hard to get here, because the rest of them didn't make it. You feel me? The kidney saga is unique because of the effort to remedy a past wrong. Lots of time when we see health inequalities, we just assume there's nothing we can do about it. Moore said, we can make changes to restore faith in the health system and to actually address the unfair and avoidable outcomes that Black people and other people of color face. Black Americans are over 3 times more likely than white people to experience kidney failure. Of the roughly 89,000 people currently on a waiting list for a new kidney, about 30% are Black. So you saying, and what they say, 24,000? No. How many thousand? 14,000, I'm sorry. Or, you know what I'm saying, got bumped up to be on the list? That's a lot. So that means how many are not even on the list? But hopefully with this, it'll change. Race isn't a biological factor like age, sex, or weight. It's a social construct. So how did it make its way into calculations of kidney function? Good question. So let's explain this. The EGFR, estimated glomerular filtration rate, evaluates kidney health based on how quickly a waste compound called creatinine gets filtered from the blood. Yeah, that's true. When you in dialysis, take labs all the time and check stuff like, let's say, creatinine levels, phosphorus, your hemoglobin level, your white blood count, K2/V, which is like your clearance, making sure your blood, see how clean your blood is after you're done with dialysis. Like I said, it's a lot of tests you got to go on to make sure that dialysis is actually working. But like I said, I used to encourage people to get this GFR test because, number one, a lot of people don't get it, right? And then when you get it, like I say, it says you like in stage 3 kidney failure. So just think about it. If a Black person take it and they have stage 3 kidney, according to this test, that stage 3 of kidney failure, then does that mean that they're really maybe at like a stage 4 or stage 5 or no? Or Yeah, like really at a stage 4, when they're being told they're at a stage 3, or maybe like they told at a stage 2, but really they're like at a stage 3 or stage 4. Can you imagine that by the time they realize what's going on, kidney shot to hell and they got to get on dialysis? Let's say in 1999, an equation used to calculate eGFR was modified to adjust Black people's results compared to everyone else's, based on some studies with small number of Black patients and a long ago false theory about differences in creatinine levels. Until recently, that meant many lab reports will list 2 results, one calculated for non-Black patients and other for Black patients that could overestimate kidney function by as much as 16%. Now, you notice this paragraph says only mentions Black patients. When you get these doctors and these politically correct people, when they're giving their answers to these questions, they always say Black and people of color. This ain't got nothing to do with people of color. This is why I say we don't use that term when it comes to us, because when you say people of color, now you're going to meld us in with everybody else, and we're not going to get what we need, like the benefits that we need for our people, because it's going to be really based on other folk. That not every Black kidney candidate was affected. Some may have had kidney failure diagnosed without that test. For others to have a chance at benefiting from the UNO's mandate look back, transplant center staff turned detectives often work after hours and weekends hunting years old records for a test that, recalculated without the race adjustment, might make the difference. They say you're reaching out to nephrologists, the primary care doctors, the dialysis units to get those records, says Dr. Pooja Singh of Jefferson Health Transplant Institute in Philadelphia, where Evans received her new kidney. The first patient getting transplanted for us was such a great moment for our program that the work didn't feel like work after that. It said a high school sports physical. That's why it's important to make sure your kids, if they in any kind of athletics, and I know a lot of these schools, they give these physicals for free if you sign up early. So if you can't afford to go to a doctor and get it done, pay attention to what's going on in your child's school and get them physicals. So high school sports physical first spotted Evans' kidney disease at age 17, while finishing her master's degree and beginning to earn her PhD at Temple University, she started dialysis for 9 hours a night while she slept. It's called nocturnal. You can't say it right. And was placed on the transplant list. That's just meaning that you can do it. Well, some centers, not many of them now, but a lot of centers used to do night dialysis. Like in the daytime, you do it like, say, 4 hours a day. And you do like 4 hours a day for 3 days a week. But what she's doing, nocturnal, she's doing PD. That's what it is. If it's 9 hours a night while she slept, then that's peritoneal. That's what you do it at home. And it takes 9 hours, but it's pulling your, cleaning your blood, pulling the urine and the waste out of your body slowly. Not as fast as hemodialysis, which is done in the clinic. And like I said, it runs like from 3.5 to 4.5, 5 hours. This here, most likely, she was probably getting it done at home. And if it says she was finishing her master's degree and her PhD, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So she got on a waiting list, it would say 2019, it said, and it should have been on her 2015. Yeah. So she had been on this thing, let's see, that was 5 years ago. She's 29, 25, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that's 8 years, right? So it took, I'm going to say, 5 or 6 years before her kidneys just failed altogether, because it says she didn't get on dialysis until she was finishing her master's degree and beginning her PhD. So 4-year college, master's degree, add another couple of years, and a PhD, however many years after that. So she had been, her kidneys had been failing for years. It says how long it takes to get a kidney transplant depends on the patient's blood type, medical urgency, and a mix of other factors, including how long they've spent on the waiting list. Evans was first listed April 9, April 2019. When the Jefferson Transplant Center unearthed her old lab test, they found she should have qualified in September of 2015, which is what, about 3.5 years? Just for context, when I was still in undergrad, I should have been on the list, she said, recalling the anger she felt as she read the letter with what she called a mind-blowing credit of 3.5 more years waiting. Also provided a glimmer of hope that she'd been offered a matching kidney soon. Evans got a new kidney on July 4th, which I guess was in 2023. So 19, 20, 21, 22. So she still waited like 4 years. Can you imagine her waiting another 4 years to get a kidney? And probably bittersweet because she probably should have got a kidney 4 years earlier. Evans got a new kidney on July 4th and is healthy again and grateful the policy change came in time for her. You don't know if people would be alive today if it had been enacted earlier, she said. Still, that extra step of making amends to fix the situation for those that we can, I feel like it's very important and is very necessary if you are truly wanting to bring more equity and equality into the medical field. On the surface level, I applaud what's going on with these doctors and these nephrologists and these kidney foundations. Because you need to right or wrong. It's got to start somewhere. You're not going to be able to fix everything overnight, but if you can start it somehow now, you'll probably get some crazy extremist group suing the National Kidney Foundation saying that y'all changing these tests is racist because you're changing it only because they're black. You'll have some fools like that, but I hope not. I hope people, just for the greater good. My thing is just for the greater good of man, just doing right by the people. You don't want us to holler racism. You don't want us to believe racism exists. Do things like this. Start out somewhere. Even when we holler like reparations and we say, yo, you owe like trillions of dollars. You probably ain't got it because you done gave it all to Ukraine and Israel. But you should start somewhere. Start somewhere. And what's more important right now than the medical field? Getting these tests. Now, this ain't going to take the place of reparations in the form of cash patients. Oh, no, not at all. But what it will do, like I say, it'll start. It's a great start because what's more important than health? Nothing. Your mind, body, and soul, nothing is more important than your health because without health, you're not alive. And then what good is it? Seen too many people with amputations. Seen too many people can't live life because organs are shutting down. Circulation. Because once your organs start shutting down, that's when your circulation starts to go to hell because the body is designed to number one, protect the heart and the brain. But heart is number one. So if things are going on that's affecting the body, it's going to make sure the heart is going to get that blood first. So that's when you'll start losing circulation and like I said, your toes and your hands and your fingers and stuff, they start getting cold and then numb and they start turning color and before you know it, you're losing limbs. But that's not everybody. I'm not talking about just dial. That's really more of a diabetic, high blood pressure type thing. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Share this story for real. I mean, really share this story with as many people as you can, people you think that will benefit from this. Because this is, I know I'm going to post it on, my YouTube channel, my Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're gonna put this out there because everybody, this needs to be put out everywhere. But anyway, like I said, tell me what you think about the story. Leave comments below. Let's dialogue. Let's talk about it, man. This is a good conversation to talk about. Let's have an intelligent conversation about not only just systemic racism, but just health in general. And I do plan on doing more videos dealing with kidneys and dialysis because that was something that has been on my heart for a while. Wanting to say if I'm gonna do it, how I'm gonna do it, how I'm gonna approach it. And this came up and I'm like, Can't wait no longer. I gotta comment on this. So like I said, let's have a dialogue. Hey, also support the channel. There's 4 ways you can support the channel non-monetarily. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. All 4 taking maybe not even a couple of minutes to out your day, and helps boost the channel and the videos and the algorithm, so I can get more views, more subscribers, and that way, like I say, it can help increase and improve the channel. But if you want to, or if you want to like help and support the channel monetarily, there's links in the description boxes you can click on, support as you may, but however you do it, hey, I appreciate it all. I mean, but just at least give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. If you got any stories that you want me to cover, if you got anything you want to talk to me about, ask me about, hit me up at soulinthesoil@gmail.com. That's soulinthesoil@gmail.com. Don't forget the super chat, super thanks, all that. With that being said, I'll leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.